excited doing another episode of Heal Yourself Now TV with Itzhak Beery, who is the founder of Shaman Portal and author of many books. He's a healer, a shamanic teacher, a speaker and community activist who is really committed to bringing shamanism out in the world even more, especially to places like in North America, places where people aren't so familiar with shamanism and the power of shamanism and how it can help their lives. So the Shaman Portal, which Itzhak founded in 2007, is a great resource for people that are seeking information about shamanism and every tradition. He has had a lot of intercourse with the Andean Shamans in Ecuador, who have asked him to bring the sons and daughters of the North to Ecuador, to the heartland of Andean shamanism. And I'm so excited to have you here today, Itzhak, and I would love to know more about how you became inspired to create this Andean Summit, and we would love to see come out of those who attend the summit come June of this year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for having me and the ability to share my passion and my life with people from all over the world. It's really amazing. As we spoke earlier, one of the most beautiful perks of all this work is to meet people like you and like people all over the world that are interested in preserving ancient knowledge, that they're interested in alternative healing, or alternative. It's not alternative. It's the ancient wisdom of healing. Then now we call it alternative, and to really live in a more sustainable way of living, not in the same way that we grew up to believe that only corporations are the big answers to all the questions. So I think it's wonderful that we can all come together and see that we are not alone in it, that we are all walking the same path. My journey started many years ago in 1995, and I was really lucky to meet and work with Michael Harner, which is one of the founders of the new renaissance of shamanism in the West. I had took the basic course with him and then worked with other people in his organization. But I really felt that the message, the strongest message of all of them came from a person that I really love his work is John Perkins, who worked a lot with the people from Ecuador. And I went with John in 1997, I went with him to Ecuador, and I met a few shamans, and one of those shamans really spoke to my heart, or I spoke to his heart, and I became his apprentice. And this is Don Jose Joaquin Pineda, who last year, when I brought a group to Ecuador, asked me to bring the son of the daughters of the North, or the Eagles, to Ecuador and create a platform or to create an organization that bring or bridge the cultures together. And as you know, Michelle, we have the Inca have a very powerful prophecy of the new Pachacuti, the new era where the eagles and the condors will fly in the same sky in harmony. And that's really part of that, is how to bring people from the North, people who are endowed with logical mind and industrialization, and thinking about production and about being efficient and about all of that, which is what we are, together with people of the South, which is the people who are represented by the Condor, that are more heart-centered people, that are people who have a lot more feelings, they knowing, they kept this earth knowledge for so many thousands of years in hiding. And the prophecy said that the people of the South, the shamans, will come out of their jungles, the top of the mountains, and they will start sharing this information with us. And this is such a privilege for us to be in their presence, because in many ways, those people in the South, those people who are the indigenous people, and not just in South America, but all indigenous people, have knowledge of how to preserve the earth and how to keep our life in balance, which is, you can agree with me that we are not living in the Western world in a very balanced way. We are a very aggressive societies that are profit and big corporations are more important than the social infrastructure of our communities. And so I think that the beauty of this project of the Andes Summit, and I'm talking also as a part of the Shaman Portal, which has the same kind of mission, is to bring the community together, to share information, to build a community of people who believe in the same values, and give them the feeling that they are not alone in all of it. That we're really not strange of really wanting to live life with heart-centered and being sensitive. It's so in indigenous cultures, it's the norm. It's natural to be open to nature, to open to society, to talk from your heart. In our society, it sounds weird. It sounds strange. You want to be a startup company. You want to have a corporation. But for them, it's the more important part is the families, your pursuing of your life passion work, and the responsibility for community. So that's really what the whole purpose of the Andes Summit. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautifully said. Thank you. I'm wondering, why now? Did did one of the Yachaks, as I've heard you call them, traditional shamans, did they get a message? Did they go on a journey? Did Spirit come and talk to them? Why is it that they chose this time now to bring the teachings really wide open to the people from the northern hemispheres?
Well, I think there is a combination of things. Well, the new Pachacuti really started around 1993, 95. So we are talking about 20 years of movement and you have to understand that the shamans themselves in Ecuador and other places in the world, they had the struggle because for thousands of years, for many, many years, at least the last 500 years, when the Spaniard came to South America, they really tried to hide their practices because the Spaniard and all the Western people who came to South America forbade them to practice their language, forbade them to practice their ceremonies and rituals. So they did it in hiding. So it takes many years for them to unfroze their fear of sharing that with the people of the North, or for the same people that actually oppress them. And I think that now it's time where they really feel, and many of them say that that the hope of keeping their wisdom is not with their own young generation, is it with the people from the north, the people that will value their wisdom. And so they actually feel that this time they need to teach us, the people of the north, their wisdom, because many of their young generation are poo-poo in a way their old generation wisdom. They want to be more like us. They want to have their digital equipment, their screens, their iPhones, their all of those equipment, and they want to have money. And so the young generation running away from their old tradition, and they believe, like my teacher that adopted me as his son, that that the future of keeping this tradition together is with the people that comes from the north, and they really don't see it as a contradiction. I think that they choose people from the north and they can be the messengers of that wisdom. So I call us, you and me, and all the people who are going to be in the summit, and the people who are visiting South America and they are interested in it. I call them bridge shamans, because we are bridging the two cultures together. And in many ways, they understood also that in order for Westerners to understand the wisdom and the intricacy of their philosophy, they need to find people who can translate the wisdom, their language, their common understanding of the connection between the elements and the earth, with people from the West that can actually translate it to people who can speak that language. Because I can see that when they come to teach us, or you'll see that in the Andes too, there are many. They don't understand what we don't understand. You know, they they don't understand why we are not understand the power and the energy of water or the air or the fire or the elements or the mountains. For them, it's obvious, but for us, we don't understand that. They need to find people who can translate their wisdom, their understanding of the world with the people in the West. And that's going to be you and me and all of those people who are coming to the summit. And I do hope that at the end of the summit, we will all become ambassadors to that old wisdom, that we can go back to wherever we are, in Bali, in New York, or in San Francisco, or in England, or in Amsterdam, or all of those places where people are coming from. And we can share that with our families, with our communities, and we can create a mass or a stronger group of people that will continue to spread that wisdom. And my belief is that it is so essential today because of the situation that we are facing now with this administration that we have in New York, or in the United States, and in other places in the world that are disregarding everything that we believe in, like democracy, honesty, integrity, the earth, the sustainability, women rights, gay rights, human rights. So it is so essential. It's not a privilege. It's really essential, important for people today to take a stand and to step into their power.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
And I think that's the shamanism enables us to do that. It kind of brings us back home to who we truly are, that we've forgotten, forgotten how to connect to our higher self, to the soul on a soul level. And it's so beautiful that this summit is being offered and giving people access to these amazing masters. How many masters are going to be presenting their wisdom at the...
Well, when I went to Ecuador, I asked 10 of them to come to teach us, and most of them are my teachers or people who I worked with. I mean, I have personal experience with each one of them, and so I love them. I trust them. I have personal experience healing with them, or with anyone, with all of them. So of course there is Don Jose Joaquin Pineda, who is a fifth generation Yachak who lives in a village called Iluman. Now you have to understand that in Ecuador, each village has a special power or special profession. And so there are some villages that are more, the tradition is handcraft or textiles or furnitures or leatherwork. Iluman is probably the only one village that is dedicated to healing for thousands of years. So it's the guild of the healers are there. And that's so amazing because he's one of the most powerful people there. And when you do the La Limpia ceremony with him, you will understand why. It's a no-nonsense, super traditional, old-fashioned way that Pali was done thousands of years ago, and it's still powerful. You know, he in the last couple of months ago when we were there, he was taking people possessions, strengthening people's body, working with people's digestive system, and after 1 or 2 sessions, people who had chronic pains and chronic illnesses, they were freed of it. It was just quite surprising. And then we have Maria Juana, who lives in the village next door, and she's a midwife and a woman who works with feminine energies and the feminine bodies. She's outstanding and funny and humorous woman, incredibly powerful, not just spiritually but also physically. She's 74. I mean, all of those people are quite old, that you're not going to be meeting them for many years, unfortunately. And that's why I think it's so important to do that now, because these generations are not going to be with us for so many years, and they have so much to teach us. And losing my teacher Ipu Piara a few years ago, I really understand how much I not just know, but I really understand deeply what it is to lose a person like that, like encyclopedia of healing and medicine. With every shaman that pass away, we're losing an amazing amount of information. So those people are amazing to meet. And so then across the road, we have a person. His name is Esteban Tamayo, and Esteban Tamayo is the eldest of all of them. He is very similar to the other two, are very traditional, like thousands of years of knowledge with their work. Quite a what a privilege to work with them. And we have Alberto Tazzo, who is an amazing, powerful shaman, knowledgeable, more in the philosophy. He wrote a book, a few books about shamanism, and he will be teaching the work of the Ushai, which is something that we don't really talk about here much, but it is part of the Andes wisdom that the Ushai is the fifth element. So we have the four elements, but we have the Ushai, which is the element that brings the whole thing together. And how to obtain and to retain and to nurture that Ushai is the key for healing and living in balance. And that's really what he's going to be teaching, and he's going to do some healing too. And then we have another person who wrote a book, which is like the new generation of shamans. They're not young, but Don Shari Jose Kimbo. And he's a prolific and an amazing shamans who also do Takisami, which is the sound healing methods of the Andes. He's doing incredible divination. Many people from my group who did healing with him were so amazed by his ability to read and to give diagnostic for people, our spiritual and emotional and physical diagnostic, that they were like totally floored. It was quite beautiful. And he wrote a book also about the 7 wisdom healing of the condor, or the condor medicine, where he observed the way the condors are raising their children. And that's a beautiful book. It's only Spanish for now, but it's a really beautiful 7 principles of raising children and society by observing the condor, the way they raise their children. And what's beautiful about it also, that he created a whole movement, exercises that he teaches as you do the healing. So you're learning the principle, but you also dance and move it. So it's in your body. You embody that wisdom, not just as a exercise in philosophy, but as we know, shamanism is about experience and practice. And then we have Manuel Casalon, who is from the Tachila a tribe, which is a different tribe in the cloud forest. And he's going to do La Limpia like nobody else, very different one. But he's also going to offer ayahuasca ceremonies, which are optional for people. You don't have to do that. Very different experience. And we have Susana Tapia Leon, who is Ecuadorian. She's not native, but she grew up with native people in Mindu, which is on the cloud forest area. And she's a beautiful, amazing woman that will work with opening your feminine heart. She's a doula. She's a teacher. She's worked with movement and sound. Quite a remarkable teacher. And she speaks English, so it's easier to for some people. But we're going to have translators throughout the conference, so you would not lose any word. And then we have Oscar Santillan, who is a little younger generation, who is amazing musician, but also permaculture. And he is, and I personally experienced a lot of his healing work, because he's a fantastic healer using La Limpia. So he's going to do some takisami or some musical instruments. He has some flutes that are 4,000 years old from the pre-Inca traditions, which is beautiful. And then we have Hacho. Hacho is a master in cultural understanding of the Andes. He has an amazing understanding of the connection between the Tata Inti, the Father Sun, and Mother Earth. He created breathing and movement, and his La Limpia ceremonies are very, very powerful. And then we have one more with Clemencia. She's also from Peguchi, from another village, which Jose Kimbo also from. And she's incredible, powerful woman that you will never forget her experience. And I think that what's so nice about the experience of in the Andes Summit is that we're going to do the healing in their own homes. So in other words, we're not going to do it in hotel rooms. We're not going to do it in conferences, some hall somewhere in a sterile place. We're going to do it in exactly where the shamans feel at home, which makes a huge difference, because they have their own herbs, they have their own stones, they have everything there to support their healing. And that will benefit you too, because you are not leaving their room, their healing room, and going into your supermarket or to your car. You are staying there, and you're experiencing the power of those mountains and the rivers and the springs and the air. So it is you have time to integrate that wisdom into your body and into your soul.
Wonderful. I've just heard you say La Limpia many times, and I was wondering if you could explain, what is La Limpia healing? What is that?
Yeah, I take it for granted that people understand what it is. So the La Limpia is the energy clearing ceremony or energy purifying ceremony that is traditionally done in the Andes. We have it in many ways also with Native Americans, with other cultures too, that people are using sage or fire or smoke or water or other elements like that. In the Andes, it is an ancient tradition and is very complex system that uses trago, which is sugarcane rum, to purify the energy field around the person, or the egg shape of that is surrounding us. And it does by eliminating, I mean, this is the Western understanding of it. So our body is surrounded by positive and negative ions. And using those La Limpia system, it remove the positive ions from your energy field by neutralizing them with the trago or the alcohol molecules, and infusing new negative ions. Negative ions is a positive thing. So it's the earth energy. So you're infusing the body with negative energy, negative ions, to rebalance the energy field, the magnetic field around each person. And you actually feel it when that happened, because the plants that they use, the trago, the alcohol, the sugarcane rum that they use, the eggs, the flowers, the rocks, the candles, all of it, you will feel totally. It will transform your energy from within and outside. And because the inside and the outside now are more in tune, the positive and negative ions are more in tune, you feel like you are changing. You can open up. There is something that lifts off you. And many people, when they experience it, they feel like they have a rebirth. And when you have a rebirth, then you are able to ascertain other possibilities in your life, because you are no longer carrying that bag on your shoulders. People do feel like that, like a huge burden lift off them, and it gives them the possibility that life could be different, and they are in many ways re-experiencing their own inner power to pursue what they came here to do, their life purpose. And so every La Limpia has this. So the first thing is to remove that negative energy. The second is to infuse it with good energy, and then you create a shield of protection with the stones, and then you infuse the whole thing with sound and bells and all of that. So as you can probably understand, I do this on a daily basis, and I see that miracles. It's not really a miracle, but it's for many people it looks like a miracle. I see that every day, how people change, and sometimes you can actually see it on the face of the client that sometimes they became younger. They like shed 10 years of their age because they're not worried. They're not. They become more like children. So the eyes are bright. Their body is not tight anymore, and it's a beautiful, beautiful gift to give. And I think that it's such a beautiful gift for people who come to the Andean Summit to experience it with those people who are carrying this tradition for so many years. And my teacher is doing it from the age of 8. And he is now 71, 72. So imagine how many years they do that, and how many people that they healed, and how much knowledge that they have about spirit and body. And all those shamans, they all see spirit. So of course, that comes with the territory. And so they remove negative energy. They remove attachment. So if people come with this kind of condition, this is the perfect place to come and to experience that healing.
Absolutely. So who would you say should come to this summit? Is there anybody in particular, or just everybody who is interested in expanding their consciousness and discovering of these amazing shamans? Who should come to this? What is your thought on that?
Well, I actually like to see people from the government, people from the corporations, head of corporations. I like to see people like that, because that will change their attitude and mind. But some of them are like us. They want that to see change. They want to connect to their heart. So who should come? Everybody that really feel that they will benefit from this kind of healing and understanding philosophy. That anybody who have that gut feeling that life is more than just shopping. Everybody who can understand that medicine is not Western hospitals. Anybody who can make a commitment to strengthen his community and families. Anybody who wants another model for living. People who understand what's the what's the real meaning of sharing economy, of sharing communities, of responsibility for community, instead of what we have now, which is, like John Perkins says, it's a death economy that doesn't lead us to anywhere. So it's an opportunity to see different model of life and to pursue it, and to, I think that it's so important for people with children to go, because you will see how those indigenous people work and deal with children, how they teach them, which is so different than the way we are experiencing it. I came back from the Amazon now, and the Andes. You walk into school, so you walk into the villages, you don't see sad faces, you don't see any child who's nagging, you don't see children crying, because they are content, because that that one of the ways, which is, I personally as a father was so impressed by, and I did change the way I educated my children, was that they hardly ever say no to children. They allow them to experience life fully in the way that they are experiencing it with nature. So they never push a child or say, don't do that, it's dangerous. Don't do that because you're electrified, or you're stupid, or it's none of that. Like we were in the Tachila village, and there's a young woman, it was late at night, we did ayahuasca ceremony, and her daughter was there, and daughter was like 4 or 5, and her daughter was dressed up in the same way that her mother was, and her mother was doing all these dance and all these ceremony, all this singing, and the daughter tried to imitate her, but of course she was like off everything, off the steps, but there was no 1 ounce of irritation, or you are not doing it correctly. She didn't try to reprimand her. She just let her follow her, and it was so beautiful. And so if you are a teacher, or if you are a parent and wants to see a different model for raising children, that's one of those beautiful things. And one more thing, I asked Donna Laura Santillan to come to speak to us in the summit, because she and Don Oscar and their families will come from many, many generations of shamans and healers and community leaders. They established a school in Quito, and in this school they teach permaculture. They have a chakra, which is a real chakra, which is a vegetable garden, not the chakra in our body, but
okay.
And their mission is to have a school that every child from different tradition of Ecuador, which have many different tribes there, can come dressed up in their own clothes. They can speak their own languages. They can sing their own songs and bring healing traditions to the school. And they work the garden. And it is so important, because the garden itself is educational system. The garden is based on the principle of the 3 sisters, which is the corn, the beans, and the squash, which is the foundation of nutrition. The corn gives the stalks to the peas to climb up to the sun. The corn rise to the sun. The squash give the shade for the ground. The pea give nitrate to the soil. So each one of those plants have a specific role in giving nutrition to humans and to each other. So in other words, they don't grow peas separately, corn separately, squash separately like we do. They understand that we are all interdependent on each other, and each of us give nutrition to the others, and we are all allow us all to connect to Pachamama, Mother Earth, and on the other hand, all connected to God, which is Tata Inti, Father Son. And to see the beauty of that, and the responsibility that these children are feeling toward those plants, and it is such a beautiful, life-changing experience.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing and for taking the time out to do this interview today, Itzhak. I just want to make sure everybody knows where to go to sign up for the Andes Summit. It's can you repeat the website for us?
So the Andes Summit is at www. theandessummit.com.
The Andes Summit. Yes, great.
Yeah, and you can read a lot about each of the shamans, a bit about the healers. You read about the philosophy and the teachings that they're going to be offering. There are some more background information that you want to know, and if you have any questions, go to the frequently asked questions. We try to be as thorough as we can, as possibly can. It's maybe the one thing I can say is that, and for you too, Michelle, this definitely will be a life-changing experience.
Yes.
Your life probably would not be the same. You will have a broader understanding of life and a different example. I mean, you live in a different culture now, right, in Bali, so you probably already have that in you, and many people who done travel around the indigenous cultures probably have that. But it's still, I could see that people who went on a trip with me, how this changing their life in such a way, and it bring them closer to their life purpose. So I truly invite you all to come and to share that wisdom of the ancient people that will really, I hope, will save us all as a human race on this earth.
Aho.
Aho.
Thank you. I'm so inspired, and I'm sure those who are watching this or who will be watching this will feel the excitement and the energy of what is possible if you can come to the summit way. I just really, I think this is an amazing opportunity to meet all of these masters, the real indigenous shamans, who, like Itzhak has shared, carry thousands of years of wisdom. So we are so fortunate, those of us from North America and Europe and other countries around the world, to be able to come to this summit and personally experience the power and the wisdom that was shared at this the Andes Summit. So once again, if more information and you're ready to register, please come to theandessummit.com, www.theandessummit.com. And so it's been such a pleasure to have you on Heal Yourself Now TV. And I'd like to thank Naturally Better TV for their support of this show. And I wish you all and so much success with this summit, so that there may be able to be future summits in the years to come. Itzhak.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that opportunity. And one more thing I wanted to say, that we are doing it on June 16 and June 23rd because it falls exactly on the equinox, which is the most amazing time of the Andes, where they celebrate the return of the sun. So it's called Inti Raymi, the celebration of the sun. So I welcome you all to come on that sacred time to Ecuador.
Wonderful, wonderful. What a special be there. I'm so excited. I can't wait to meet you in person and to experience all the teachings of the master shamans. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.